Field of Glory Kingdoms. Great new game by AGEod and Slitherine as the production company. We are getting into it. Let me share my screen. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna do it without sound for now, so we can just hear each other. All right. So you wanted me to go ahead and do a challenge? I can do that. That's
Yes.
fine. Also, let me make sure that it looks like we're good. All
I
right.
just
So
did one, and then I did the typical error I tend to do, which I think
okay, so
is that this the screen is not very intuitive in that regard, or it's easy to overlook that. That you have to, of course, when you are creating the session, you have to select your
okay.
faction or country, and
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick. I think we're gonna do Holy Roman Empire in Poland. If you want to be Holy Roman Empire,
sure, yeah,
that
I'm
was my
curious
intention.
to see that.
Um, that way, I'm a little bit of a more of a minor power, and then I can kind of look things up as we go. Uh, um, and then while you're going, I figure as we go, we'll share our screen to the main area. So you might want to preemptively share your screen to StreamYard,
Okay.
Jan. Then and then we can kind of flip between removing and putting yours back on, so that way we actually see it from two different factions viewpoints, which is kind of neat in and of itself. So I've picked the Grand Campaign 1054. This is a 440 turn journey. No, we were not going to be doing it. Well, I don't know, whatever, maybe over a year, maybe. But now I think what we wanted to do is at least 20 turns. If depending upon where it gets to, maybe more. Just to kind of show everybody how the game works in general and what some of the decision making. I kind of want to. One of the things I want to do is go slow and really kind of
Yeah.
talk through the decisions, really, because and then look up. I mean, I am not a master of this. I am, as Jan can probably very clearly see, I'm not a master of empires either. But we're in the middle of a match and I'm getting ripped apart, literally. But all right, so I've picked Poland. I've set 2 players. Time limit we don't really need to worry about. Hot seat allowed. A player is permitted to play multiple factions. So that would have been interesting. We might. I'm not gonna do it for this one, but that would have been interesting to maybe
Hmm.
pick ourselves and maybe a nearby. That'd be kind of interesting. But no more
Oh,
invasions.
yeah,
That's
it's a neat feature to have if you want to play
yeah.
locally or have several folks play via the same account.
Weaker Crusaders. Okay. Quick victory. I mean, we can. I'll go ahead and put quick victory on there. It's kind of more of a 2-to-1 margin instead of a 3-to-1 margin. It's not really
Right.
gonna affect. Just kind of show people what it is. Here, I'm just gonna turn it off. But let's see what this. Okay, so a player, and then no Normans won't receive scripted reinforcements around 1060s to invade the English Isles. Interesting. In single player, this option is dynamic. Okay, whatever. Weaker Crusaders. Okay, interesting. Okay, just wanted to see what that was. I think AI difficulty will keep it at balance because I don't think either of us are masters of this yet. We're just really kind of trying to. I mean,
Yeah,
unless you want me to put it up to experience.
I prefer
You know what?
putting it a little bit higher. Experience should be good.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll see. All right, you have created a new challenge. It
Okay.
should be up there. I used battle as the.
Let's see. Accept. Here we go. Accept. And I need to pick the right country now. Holy Roman Empire. And there we are.
Okay, so mine. Let's see how quickly. Okay, so it does show up immediately under my games. I think I had to click over to force
Hmm.
it to refresh. So then I just hit play. Beautiful graphics. I absolutely love the
Yeah.
intro graphics. What do you remember? The loading screens, I guess. Ooh, yeah. So absolutely
Oh, tapping
gorgeous.
out of the game while it's loading was probably not the best idea I had.
Maybe I'm actually curious. So you don't. What? Let's see what you're seeing. I'm gonna look at my thing. What are you?
Yeah, there we go.
You're still okay. So you're fine.
Yep.
Okay. So what we'll do is it looked like it was giving me first turn, but let's see. We'll swap between us.
No, it's
Oh, that's right. You're right.
it's the same.
You described this to me before.
Yes, it's
Actually, more of a
simultaneous. So
simultaneous. Yeah.
that's the very
All right.
interesting thing about empires and kingdoms, because it is hosted via the Slitherine PBM++ servers. That allows it to be simultaneous. So all the players can. So as you saw in the settings, when Peter was setting up the game, you can set a time limit for each player to submit their turns. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 7 days, 28 days. And in that period, all the players can submit their turn whenever they want. Doesn't matter. The order in which they do that doesn't matter. They can do it at the same time because they basically just upload their orders to the server. And as soon as all the players have submitted their orders, or if not, as soon as the deadline is reached, the server then automatically resolves all orders simultaneously and then provides the new turn, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, and we'll I don't want to diverge too much, but I remember noticing with our Empires multiplayer game that at least for me, it might be which player I was, but for me, it would actually make me do 2 turns. And I think you tried to explain it to me. It never slunk in. I'm sorry, but it's like I get the I go and then we go, but what was a little weird. Do you remember what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
I think it makes more sense to you as soon as there are more players involved, right?
Yeah, I think so. All right, we'll keep it as what we're seeing here. Okay. All right. So I think we'll just take a short tour with mine, and then maybe we'll talk through what you're gonna do, and then we'll talk through what I can do.
What are your special characteristics?
Okay, so my characteristics are under here. This is what you were talking about, right? My summed abilities and such.
Yeah.
Let's see. Food bonus, infrastructure bonus. Let's see if there's anything in particular. Oh, interesting. What is your military expertise?
Let's have a look.
There are a few of these.
Abilities 0.87.
Okay, so you have more, which is kind of understandable. Just the summed abilities. Yeah, mine's 0.63. All right, so as you can see, absolutely everything has. I think everything that's just a straight up text description of a percentage difference doesn't have a tooltip, but most it's either that or they just haven't added it all the way through. But I might ask them about that because as you can see, some of these don't have them. Maybe that's just a bug.
Right.
Legacy gain coefficient. Age of your dynasty. What does yours currently have? Legacy gain coefficient. Under
120%.
Oh wow. Well, that's probably because the size. Okay, the age of your dynasty currently provides. Lasting 7 years currently provides a negative 25% penalty. So yours is, what does yours say as far as modifier?
Let's see. Lasting 25 years currently provides 10% bonus.
Bonus, perfect, cool, interesting. So mine's younger and doesn't have as much legacy coefficient. So everything is pretty much spelled out.
Yeah, what I find interesting about the Holy Roman Empire, and don't know quite how that plays out, but the Holy Roman Empire is an electorate empire. So that means that once the emperor dies, that can sort of result in a crisis, right? So vassals and electors can declare war and all that stuff.
Are you seeing that under your realm traits?
Yes.
We'll take a closer look at each one when we go to it.
But I think the actual title can probably not change. I think it's always my faction, but I'm not quite sure. Just thinking mechanically.
Let's see, let me look at a couple of these other ones. I'm a Western feudal state. Government modifiers is a food bonus of 10% and a character force bonus of +1. I'm assuming that's just additional available characters at court, I guess. Okay. Converting the masses. Faction modifier. Kingdom of Poland experienced a large-scale pagan peasant uprising. Of course. Thank you, Tom. My friend Tom is Polish, so that's why I wanted to be Poland, so I can make fun of him the whole time. All right, so reaction. The upheaval forced the ruling Pious dynasty out of country for a few years. So this is a deceptively detailed game, which is how I'll describe it probably many times. Late Polish culture, reduction in money costs. It really bakes in a lot of very specific, detailed modifiers, which is quite interesting. And this is, you do need to kind of pay attention to this. Whether we're not gonna get too power gamey here yet, but just kind of showing people what we see here. So far, we don't have any decisions where reports would be. This is a summation of abilities, which I'm assuming is a combination of all two levels.
Yeah, what I think is also interesting in comparison to empires, there's a little bit more stuff going on here with kingdoms and more control you have. And that is, first of all, that the regional decisions, which in empires came in via the Persia DLC, are now a core feature of the game and provide a large variety of different decisions impacting not only military and economical factors, but also diplomacy, control of your nobles, and so forth. And then, in addition to that, the economical or trade system has evolved. It's much more detailed, and that way you have a little bit more of control over what's going on. Still, the trade is happening automatically, right? You can't tell any specific region, well, you now have to trade this and that good to a specific other region, but so that's sort of happening based on the trade value and all that stuff. But the production, that is a little more in the control of the players and trying to create the most benefits out of that.
All right. So what I wanted to show, why is this not moving? Here we go. Now moving. You kind of lose your mouse on the side capability when you window it. By the way, you got to use AWSD. Just navigating around. This is a provincial view, which is very nice. I don't use this as often as I should, and I've only just been recently kind of trying to concentrate a little bit more at this level, because there's some really nice information here. This is basically almost the equivalent of the ledger, but at a provincial level. So I might as well show you the ledger at the top here while we're talking.
Just wondering if I have any province at all. Yeah, I guess Franconia.
So I'll just give everybody just a real quick. I'll just show everybody just the kind of the regions here, and then I'll probably pass it over to you so we can look at your country traits and stuff like that. National traits. So again, when you click once, you get the region. If you if you click it again, you get the province. By the way, I don't know if you knew that. Some of these are not linked as provinces, so there might be opportunities to grow and combine them into such. This probably should be a province. Actually, why is this not? That's
Yeah,
lesser
they
province.
all regions are part of a province. However, you only sort of get to
Mm-hmm.
create the province if you control half of its regions.
So I think that's why I'm seeing this. This is a part of lesser Poland. So
And
why?
having provinces is an important thing in this game.
Because it shares. It allows for basically intra-kingdom trade, right? There's benefits to that. Like, in other words, your buildings can um, get resources off of one another within a province easier than it costs less, I guess is the way to put that. I think is
I'm
how
not
it's described.
actually sure if that's a thing. If the trade is bound to
Yeah,
provinces, that might be. I'm
it,
not sure.
I think what it does is it makes it, as a province, you can, it will, let me see if I can find it in the rules. That might help.
You can
Um,
certainly share food and infrastructure production.
yeah, that's it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something else about it. I'll tell you what we'll do is I'll switch over to you here in a moment. I'll go look it up. So this is the heart and soul of the game is really at the regional level, honestly, right? You can switch between the region and the province, right? Where are you? I thought you could do it. No. Oh, that did it. There was a way to do it. I thought there was a way to do it. This goes to the region. Ah, there you go. It's this button here. Why did I not see it before? Yeah, so this is another way to switch between region and province at the provincial level. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know you could get to that from there. I thought you had to do it it did automatically go to the region. Okay, cool. Some of the basics here. Obviously, you can switch back and forth to the province. You can go to a unit queue. You can go to diplomacy, which is actually pretty straightforward. Right. For any one of these, first of all, there's tool tipping everywhere, which we'll try to slow roll as we make decisions here. But one of the key things is that every window pretty much has an info, which then keys back into an extreme amount of information. I mean, honestly, you could probably get away with playing the game with just the tooltips, which is amazing. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think as we said before we started the video that there is a lot of good information in the manual. It's one of the best manuals I've read in a while. I tell you what, I'm going to pass it over to you to just kind of introduce us to your region a little bit, and I'm going to try to look up maybe the
Sure.
provincial modifiers
Mm-hmm.
as you go. So I'm going to remove myself. Let me
Okay.
add you. I'm going to add you, and there you go. Cool. Oh,
Okay. I
cool.
would
It's one button.
give you an overview by switching over to the diplomacy screen. That way you can see that the green regions are directly controlled by the emperor, and all the blue ones are vassals, so they are all part of the Holy Roman Empire. And those numbers here indicate that the emperor currently doesn't have the best of relations with the subordinates or the vassals. Um, currently the capital is up here in Goslar, where also the only army I have is. And those armies can have, and you really should put them in, have generals, and they have different character traits. I guess we get to the characters in a bit, but for the armies it's important. These two values are important: attack bonus and defense bonus. They provide extra dice in battle. And then I was just currently looking at the only province I'm currently controlling, which is Franconia, and I was wondering who to put in. That's also a new feature here. Put one of my characters in as a governor, and so he can provide some bonus on different things. So admin 4, that looks good. And he's a recruiter, can maintain 50 extra muster of men faction
How
wide, so that's very good.
how does that differ? Is it just automatic otherwise in Empire?
Empire doesn't have governors at all.
Okay. Okay, makes.
So I mean the characters. If we go to the emperor and the court
It
here,
was just kind of like. So we think it was just kind of like automatically computed
right,
in the
right.
background.
These are completely new. In empires, you just had a leader, and the leader had couldn't be a commander, I think, and had some bony for the faction. And now you have, this is still the case, like the emperor is now my leader, of course, but he also has a family, and let's see, I only have one son right now, which is a bit of a problem. There can be crisis if you have a son and the heir doesn't have support by the other nobles. Then I have a lot of relatives and other nobles at court, and those can be used to be made generals or governors. And clergy, for example, can't be generals, which I think is a little bit ahistorical, but that's just the game mechanic. And those can be loyal to you or not, and there are specific ways to influence that in the game. Maybe not as many as one would like, but I think it's an interesting addition to the game. Right. So, and then what we are probably going to do next is track through our provinces and see if we can build or recruit. If we go to the region overview, then over here you can see the building screen, which provides a selection of buildings. And in this game you also can spend authority points, which is a very, very core concept of this game, to select a level 1 building of any a category or type of building groups you want. But I mean, that's not much of an issue. Well, it is. I don't.
Let me ask you this: one of the
now.
things I always have a problem with, and I have the problem with empires too. But is there a way to better manage? One of the things that, as a newer player of the series, of this portion of the series at least, money management. I don't have a really good way. Is there a way in the ledger or elsewise to know where all your money is going towards? I know it seems very. It's kind of genericized at that level. So thank you for that. Let's see.
Right.
So the regional commerce, population taxation. So you obviously control it.
Yeah, but
the one you have the most control over is maybe court expenses, but also standing army upkeep,
right. Recruitment and army upkeep, that's a big thing. In this game, there are so-called levied units, so that are.
Yeah.
Let me have a look at the recruitment to show them maybe.
And that's also another question I didn't get too well. Okay, there you go.
Yes, there. So in this game, there are standing army units and levied army units, and the levied army units are usually of worse quality. The quality can be increased by specific buildings. The thing is, so the idea behind the levy units is they are very expensive to maintain, right? They're cheap to recruit, but costly to maintain. So you really want to build up an army for a specific campaign, and then after you've achieved your military goals, you want to basically get rid of your levies, send them back home.
My assumption is that it takes much less time to produce that. Like, what is the production time on that, if you don't mind? Like,
production time is based on the equipment points you have in that region or province.
Okay, all right, that's something I wasn't. Okay.
If the levy units generally are quicker or cheaper to produce,
the one thing is like everything else has a pretty automatic and I'll compare it to Paradox Interactive's Crusader Kings. Like, it's a lot easier to levy in some other games. That was my only thing with it.
Right.
You have a lot more control here, but it's a heck of a lot easier to levy in another game. But
that's true.
It's growing on me. All right, I'll let it be that.
And then money wise, I think the biggest thing is the trade, especially as you now have a little bit more control over that. And I mean, so if you select a region and then click the trade detail button, you get an overview of which natural goods you have, which goods you manufacture in that region, and if they are trading, that would be displayed by arrows, which might currently, here's one.
There you go. But what is that specifically? Is that, I mean, it's not really, you have no control over that, you
You
know?
don't have
It's just really
control
visual,
as to from where you buy and to where you sell.
right?
But you
And is there,
have control over building like the
is,
needed buildings that produce certain goods. And then what you have to do is basically, and that, I mean, it takes a little bit of time to get an overview of that, is to check the surrounding regions and see which goods do they need. For example, here I'm importing legumes, which is pretty expensive. And there are other goods which are even more expensive. So I wanna try to have a building that produces vegetables, right? So that I don't have to import them expensively. Even though that is an sort of internal trade, because these regions here, these are vassals of mine, but they are of course a different faction in the game. So I have to pay them for that. I have to pay internally as well, but internal trade is often more
cheaper.
beneficial. Yes.
Right.
And then you want to have
And
advanced
I
goods
looked
which
up,
you can export and gain more money.
yeah, I looked up the province, and you were correct. It doesn't affect trade from what I can see. So, yeah. Is there a difference between the thicker lines and the thinner lines there? That's what I didn't understand.
I believe that is the value of it, maybe, or is it the amount?
Okay.
I'm not quite.
Okay. Yeah, the need potentially, or the
So Frankfurt is.
because those both obviously seem to be the thicker lines, and I don't know if we can find one that might have a very.
Okay, so we are importing pottery from Meissen. With a trade value of 4. So that's over here. And then we are importing wool from Alsace with a trade value of 3. As the arrow is slightly thinner.
Okay. Okay. So it's just visual. So that's a real thin one. So is that just a small sliver?
That's the case. Not quite sure why the arrow points in this direction.
I don't know if that's the thing. Can you hit maybe the info help, the question mark on this one? Maybe it explains it. Let's see, maybe. Okay, bring up pop-ups. An important difference between. Didn't really see it there. How about I'll look in the rules. You continue.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if
Why?
it describes trade. Here we go. Several aspects. Okay.
We are also importing that. Okay, I thought we were exporting.
Needed and bonus.
Okay.
Trade. Something there is there's also trade range, trade acumen.
Yes.
Well.
Yeah, that determines basically which region trades with which other region. So it might be at some instances, it might be that you have in one of your own regions have a certain good, but the neighboring region still imports it from several regions away from another faction. That might be a thing.
Yes, and I thought potentially even forming provinces increase that benefit, but at least the rules don't say it does.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. I could not find. I don't find reference to the indicators because I just didn't know if that would give give you a little bit of a leg up on understanding where to go and what to do.
And then, I mean, other than that, money-wise, it's just building trade buildings.
So just, and of course, I just invited you here to help me get better. So okay, there's a lot going on, especially for the Holy Roman Empire. Poland has a lot less. How do you approach it? I tend to go to my first province. As you can see, there's like a number of your regions in your little regional thing there. I think you have like 12 of 12. I usually go to my first. I usually don't do it provincially. I probably should, because the provincial view is something I'm getting a little bit more used to now. It has a good visual top level. So right here, like, how do you approach your turn? How would you approach this turn? What are the
Right, so
what
the
are
first thing I
objectives
did
for?
is checking how many provinces I even have, and apparently this is the only one I currently control. So that means that I want in the mid to long term, I want to expand if I can to create more provinces. And then because the province shares infrastructure, you can usually. Yeah.
So that area that you were just in to the south there, though, that is probably a vassal, is that not? I mean, that's already a vassal, like the pinkish, the Bavaria there. So if you click,
Yes.
like, so you want to expand that, but are you saying you want to expand your domain? So then another concept of this game is making sure that your domain, your personal domain, is not larger than a set level for your government type, I think, is what controls it.
Yep.
But then you just mentioned that you want to expand your provinces or start forming them. How? Not you as HRE, right? But you want Bavaria to become a province of its own. It's still a vassal right now. Are you saying, or are you saying that you need to gain control of it?
Yeah, my so that's basically the internal struggle, right? The emperor wants to gain more direct control. So what I need to do is, for example, I mean, this is very horrible. So that puts the emperor in a very bad spot, because I basically control like 1 or 2 regions of these provinces. So maybe I need to expand down the Alps here a little bit. But yeah, those are all vassals. So what I probably need to approach this on a diplomatic level, increase relationships and then absorb them. Whereas in the north, I can probably go on a conquest.
But you need to, but in order to be able to potentially do that, your government might need to advance.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes, and that's a concept that, again, I have not mastered any of this. So, and you're able to do that if you clicked on your Holy Roman Empire at the top. You're able to do that if you look at the left top, stable fractious. Okay, so this kind of gives you a better idea of where you can go to. The only thing that I just don't. This is great visually, but I don't know what I need to do to get to the next thing necessarily. Just right from here.
What you need to do is accumulate authority tokens, and I think this, it's still not.
Yeah,
at some point there will be an overview here. In empires, there's an overview about like how many authority do you generate, what's your disorder, and all that stuff. Or in empires, it was culture and decadence, and here it's authority and disorder. So the way you generate these tokens, and you can get positive like authority tokens or negative disorder tokens, and as soon as you hit 5 of either type, you either raise a level of your civilization, whatever your government, or you fall down 1 level. And the way to get those is, and currently I don't have any claims, is by conquering claims. So at some point the emperor might say, well, Prague is now a strategic goal of ours, and we want to conquer that. And as soon as I'm in control of the region, I would gain a positive token. The other way is to be in the top of the legacy. No, not the legacy. The authority ranks, and currently that's not really updated because we haven't submitted a turn yet. But if you are one of those fortunate who have a green name, there's a chance, I think 1/3 chance per turn, to generate a token. And if you are at in the bottom third of this table, then you have a chance to get a negative token.
Certain buildings and certain other things affect that positively or negatively as well, potentially, I think.
Yes.
I think. And it's very difficult to manage that in your brain over time. But okay.
Yeah, and there is, I haven't looked that up in detail, but I think there is a little bit of a difference of the actual authority points you have, which are sort of a resource, which put you up in that table, and you can use them, as I said, to, for example, to spend on building specific buildings or some decisions and so forth. You will also have to spend them when you declare war and you don't really have a justification for that, for example. And there might be other events which increase or decrease your authority. But then there's also this, I'm not quite sure if that's the same, works the same way as culture did in empires. The stewardship is probably what was the historical culture production level that is also focused into the overall authority rank you hold. So if you control regions which for a long time have a high stewardship, that means you have higher authority overall. But I believe, and probably would have to look into the manual when you take over again, that might also be related to piety. And the balance of piety and stewardship.
And stewardship. And if you put your mouse over stewardship, does it describe it a little bit better as to, hold on, base stewardship general, nobles, okay, stewardship. Nobles, just the existence of the nobles. Structures.
Stewardship
okay, so that's interesting.
Local authority. Yeah.
So what, are there only certain infrastructure that then produce more nobles by percentage of population, so, and then there's also like population surges, basically, for lack of a better term, right? So that's the part that kind of threw me off a little bit, because it takes a while for like a population surge. There's no other way to describe it, because if you put your mouse over like the population area, let's see, turns before next population. I mean, that makes sense. It's kind of like more of kind of almost a generational percentage type model. You know what I mean? It's like let's see, food needed for this. Oh, so interesting. See, it's interesting. It's almost like if we were kind of to use an Age of Empires an analogy, which is a very simple game, of course. It's like building out your infrastructure in order to be able to support the next level. It's just a little. It's a very compressed rule. It's different, right? Yeah, and I don't know necessarily. Let's see. Yeah, I guess the only thing to affect that population growth is getting everything it's saying. Current stockpile. What's the stockpile? I'm calling out questions that I'll look up. Let's see.
That's all right.
That's the thing about this game. What I love about this game is it's gonna take me it's gonna take me in particular, just have a horrible attention span. It's gonna take me a while to learn this, but I want to learn it. I don't know how to explain that. It's just the way they present the information, and for me, is very intuitive to the point where I at least want to go look up the answer, right? And not many games do it. I don't know what it is. I think with the Paradox Interactive games, and I don't want to poo-poo them too much because I love them. But those, they throw a lot at you visually almost. This one holds it back and you
Right.
need to go. You need to peel the onion, and there's still mystery to it too, which is kind of interesting. Um,
Yeah.
there's a mystery to this game, and I think a little bit more so in Empires actually, because they're starting to give you a little bit more control now, right?
Hmm.
In this game, I think rightfully so, right? Kind of more from a civilization is to the point where you might have more control as a leader.
Well,
Um,
that's an interesting
the one,
discussion to have historically, I think.
right? Exactly. Um, so it's just I I'm very pleased with what they did with this game,
Hmm.
just in the fact that they really made it unique. I think a little bit more so. I mean, maybe again, I don't want to do too much comparison, but to other games of similar ilk,
Hmm.
the Europa Universalis
Right.
and the Crusader Kings of the world, um, it just I don't know. It's approachable. It's a little bit more approachable for me, but it's oddly more detailed in what's underneath. And then, but to master it, you need to kind of God. There's just a lot. There's a lot more potentially. I think there are a lot more different avenues of approach to this game. It's just kind of maddening in some ways. There are so many different angles you could take to
Hmm.
improve the things, yet you still don't really know everything about it. It's kind of neat. It,
Right.
so the one thing, if you don't mind, while you're sitting here, before we move on to kind of just doing our turns, is can you explain the population at the bottom and how to move, how to you do have some control over
Yeah.
where you put your
Hmm.
pets and where I don't know if you want to just kind of
Yeah.
show that a little bit.
Can do that. I just learned. Rob posted in my chat that you actually don't earn tokens anymore by conquering claims. That's interesting. Didn't know that. But what you get is authority points for that. Okay, so that's good. And then stewardship provides local authority. Yeah, yeah. Right, as I said. Okay. Okay, okay. All right.
I've
Okay, so
noticed I
yeah.
for Holy Roman Empire in particular, you have a lot of there's actually a portion of the Holy Roman Empire like that is in your domain that's way down in Italy,
Yeah, it is.
and there's definitely there's I don't know how to fix that. There's like it's there you go right there. Um, that becomes a problem area very quickly, and I had trouble. Like if you quicken any one of those, they might even some of them might even have some sort of revolt going on, or there's like modifiers to how far you are from your capital as well. So I'm
Hmm.
just wondering what yeah, as you can see there, yeah, exactly. You're kind of more in the red on your loyalty and revolt risks. I just don't know what I had trouble as HRE in quelling that. I had to try to put a standing army down there to kind of say, hey, yo, here I am. Don't revolt. And it seemed to help, but then that was costing me so much damn money. I couldn't I
Hmm.
couldn't keep the
I see.
standing army remotely like that. So yeah, just something to consider as HRE is just
Right.
that area becomes a troublesome. I'm wondering historically how I want to go now. I want to go read about it too, which is an awesome thing
I guess so. The
about
further your regions are away from your capital, the more authority
yes,
production you need. Yeah.
yes, and I don't know if there are other maybe even building
Hmm.
infrastructural
Yeah, yeah,
means
absolutely. Yeah.
potentially like a stronghold or something might
Right.
avert that. Or,
Okay, so population. Um, you can see these different colored pops here: the green ones, the red ones, the orange ones, and the blue ones. And the way you generate population, as you said, is by growth, and growth is based on food production. There are different categories of buildings here, um, displayed in these rows. So the first one, the green buildings here, those are food production, generally speaking, food production buildings. Then the next one would be infrastructure. The next one would be trade. Next, the red ones would be military. The orange ones would be clergy, religious buildings, and then blue connected to authority or stewardship or so forth. And when you reach a growth level, that will consume a certain amount of food that you have stored in that region. You can modify how much that is by certain buildings and so forth. And then you get a new peasant usually, which can only be used to produce food or infrastructure points. So I can select this one population token and put it into the infrastructure, for example. You can see the production has increased to 8 now.
Can you tell me what those numbers mean? Those I remember when you clicked there, you saw like the green and red. What are those numbers really showing you?
That's
I don't know.
The production change. So if I take this free man away from the food production, I will lose 5 points of food production. Here, currently I'm at -8.
Okay.
And if I put him in the infrastructure, I will gain 5. That will raise me to 13. See? 13 and -30.
Mm-hmm. So if you're okay, all right. It's just a little less than intuitive for my brain. I don't know what it is. There's just something about the way that it presents itself.
And so peasants can only be used for food and infrastructure production. Freemen rather, can only be used for food, infrastructure, or trade. And then you have like those let me see. The clergy is actually separate. So religious pops can only produce religion points, piety. And then the nobles can either produce stewardship or equipment, which is basically military resource points to produce units. And there are events and also decisions to grant someone, a free man, the right to become a noble. That's, I think, there might be buildings which influence that as well. I don't know. I haven't played that much into it, but that's basically, those are the only ways to
that was my next question.
Raise your pops.
Right. So there is. Wow. Okay. So that's interesting. Yeah, that's not. I mean, maybe it's in the manual, but it's not intuitive.
But that, this adds another level of complexity, right? Because you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
It influences what you are able to produce or recruit in that region or province. It also sort of provides you a limit as to how much money you could potentially generate with a region, or how much military recruitment potential you have, and also, and that's the core thing here about this game, piety and stewardship level limits. So if I want to increase the authority down here in Italy, well, what can I do? Currently, I can only build buildings potentially that produce stewardship, but I will have a hard time increasing the number of nobles to produce points.
I think the only way to potentially kind of quell it is to also put some form of standing army there.
Right.
But then you start losing money, and then the whole thing goes away. How not to win this game? That's my experience. Because unfortunately I'm very good at that. All right, so just go through. Okay, and again, this is where I stumble. This is where I get overwhelmed. Right? What are your decisions? I know you already kind of potentially. So you have one region that you're kind of predicting you might have to kind of raise the stewardship, and we kind of talked about that. Yeah, so what are your other decisions? I felt like you wanted to maybe provincialize, if you will.
Yeah, if I can, yeah.
Right. So how would you start your way along that path, and how do you find yourself effectively knowing whether it's working or not? That's where I fail miserably.
That's working or not, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, and I think for me, it's like you have so much other information, but for me, for some reason, I don't know why, it's the money that absolutely kills me all the time, and it's the you feel like you don't control it very well, right? And I think it's more just informationally, and I might be able to get at the information I need elsewhere, in the ledger or somewhere, but I just felt like
Yeah, I guess you have
It's
to
really,
study the trade situation for that,
yeah.
and then purposefully select specific producing buildings to level that up, raise your production or your income from trade.
Yeah, I think I'm just too military aggressive.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm a war gamer at nature. You know what I'm saying? It's a emphasis on war.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yeah, go for it a
you
little
can't
bit,
really
and then
go
we'll.
on non-stop expansion
No,
here
you
because of
cannot.
the authority
No.
and all that. Yeah, you would quickly drop down in the authority ranking, and then you gather the negative tokens, and then you regress in your government form.
See, what I wanna see is how you kind of handle preparatory levying. Yeah. I mean, obviously, we're kind of in a peace mode, if you will, between us. But that's not to say that you don't. As a matter of fact, let's go look at who are your most aggressive neighbors right now.
My most aggressive neighbors? That's an interesting question. I
think there's
guess
a way
that
to
are
overlay.
probably my
There is.
own vassals, right?
Well, right. Yeah. It's good to be the emperor. What's? Oh, damn! I'm thinking of History of the World Part 2. What is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good to be king. It's good to be king.
So I
Oh,
can
people.
easily conquer these independent fiefdoms. Won't be much of an issue. I just march in with my army and take it, so I don't even need to spend authority to do that.
By the way, the one
It doesn't really provide me with much because then I hold 3 regions of that province. I'm still unable to create the province. So unless there's something in here which I really think is worth having this region, I probably won't bother taking it. Unless to gain a few authority points. But might be different with Berg. Nope, not at all. So then expansion wise, the route would probably go north because I think it's possible to conquer these 3 regions here from Saxony, protect my capital a little bit, and yeah, have a foothold in to the North Sea maybe. However, as we can see currently, the Saxon army is actually stronger than my own, at least on paper, that is. Doesn't mean that the fight has to go that way. If I attack, actually, I should have rather good odds because this commander here is a good attacker but horrible at defending. But I would probably start building recruit a few units up here if I have feasible, well, maybe a few more spearmen and cavalry. What do I have in my army here? No cavalry at all. Yeah, cavalry it is then probably. And then, I mean, the big thing, especially in the beginning, is checking the trade. It takes a while, and maybe I don't know if we get to submit the turn before the break or afterwards, but maybe I use the break to have a close look on what is produced where, what do I need, where do I get it from, and so forth, and then decide which buildings I want to build. And then just in the beginning, just go through a few turns. There's not going a lot to happen there, but just to see how the different values adjust and all that.
Yeah, you almost kind of need to go at least a turn or two just to
right
kind of see really where the action is, honestly, right? Where you might
But
need
yeah,
more attention.
but I mean, strategically speaking, my huge competitor is probably France. Don't know very much if
So
the
then,
Scandinavians are going to come down.
let's talk diplomacy then. So I mean, obviously, anybody who you're gonna be, let's say, quite Holy Roman Empire-ish about this, you would try to ally yourself with your greatest enemies quickly, and then of course turn the tide on them, right? So what power do you have over that? Like, if at this point you wanted to kind of sense out, their sentiments and their answers to like little jibing gifts and such, like that's what I like to mess around with my enemies early to kind of see how how angry they are with me, and then usually, of course, I piss them off and we go to war. But so yeah, like this. Let's
Yeah, let's
how
have a
did you
look at
even?
France. So we have a neutral relationship with them, just because we haven't really expanded westwards.
Right.
So what we could do is suggest a marriage. There's a little chance that they would accept that. We can send them some money to increase the relations, or we can trade to their benefit to do that. And then at some point we might be able to issue a cooperation, which means that actually increases the chance that those two nations trade with each other, and it also increases over time the relationships, and it might lead to them calling you in if they are attacked. And there's a neat new feature here, the foreign policy, which wasn't available in empires, where you can actually determine or set at which relationship level you would go in and actually help them in a war. So if I, let's say we were future allies, that it's how the game that understands it. If our relationship is at 75 or more, then I would automatically be called in if they are attacked by someone else. Can also say we will never help them.
Right.
Not quite sure. I have to look that up if that actually impacts the increasement of relationship. Probably, but I'm not sure. Would be
Yeah. At this point,
interesting.
when you don't have an alliance, how much effect does that really? Yeah. So yeah.
Well,
And again,
it,
that's the
it
thing. The
has
game.
it has if you have a corporation, right? So if you had
Yeah.
the way that worked before in empires was that just once you reached a specific value of relationship, then you would automatically be called in. That's no longer, and also if it increased even further, then you would also automatically be called into offensive wars. That's no longer the case with this setting.
So the assumption is that if you do not come to their help in some way, like I don't even know how it tracks that necessarily, whether you bring forces into the region or not. I'm assuming it has significant negative results for any other types of alliance requests later, right? Like if you don't come to their aid, I'm
Probably.
wondering if it tracks. Yeah, I would think so,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's about it. I'm not sure. There might be regional decisions to impact them. You can insult them, which
So
decreases the relationship and might provide a claim to a region. But I didn't really have much luck with that in the previous run.
so maybe we'll just talk a short bit. Let me take back over as
Mm-hmm.
Poland, give you kind of a break from and we'll kind of take a little bit of a similar look around just to first of all my neighbors. Won't you be my neighbor? All right, so here's Masovia. I'm trying to look for. Okay, so Prussia is neutral, what they depict as Prussia, um, which is interesting. Okay, all right. Let's just take a look. A couple other things. You can see your open slots at this point. I haven't looked through all these recently. Let's take a look. Peasants and freemen will be mostly focused on. Okay, so is this just a script? Oh, I didn't know you could do this. Did you know you could influence at this level?
Yes, if you don't want to,
How do you undo
I'll
that?
also show that on my end. If you don't want to manually, I prefer actually
Mm-hmm.
doing it manually per region. But if you don't want to do that, you can alter the production. Well, the main set the main type of production for a province.
Mm-hmm. Deactivate. So this is kind of weird. what's weird, and this might actually be a bug, is if you change this and then you, I guess it makes sense. But if you change it and then you deactivate it,
Yeah, then you have to go in and do it
then
manually.
you have to kind of, which is kind of interesting. I don't know. That might be, they might want to consider that a little bit. Now what is different about this? Hold on. Okay, so this is where your population, peasants, freemen. Okay. Nobles will be mostly focused on you. Now why? Okay, this is just an interesting mechanic. How is that even? Let's go down into this. Take a look. So I want to know. What is that? Okay. So hold on. Let's do that. Let's just take. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of reviewing. I'm learning this game still. Have you played around with this too much? I don't know. I'm just curious.
No, as I said, I usually don't use that and do it manually per region.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, does this help? For some reason, the ledger itself is actually pretty good too. I don't think we got into this too much, but you can. I tend to do it like this for some reason, just because it kind of shows you your bigger, your more structural areas. This is kind of my default view at this point. So this is kind of neat, unique, and that's interesting. I didn't really pay attention to that before, because this actually just shows you. I don't really know what that's showing then. I thought unique would have been unique, right? Why? I thought that this would be calling out only, if you had something that something else didn't have. Construction. So this, let's go look at that. Where is that shown in the region? The open slots. This says there's 6 open slots. Where is that shown here?
That should be on the in that row of icons, the rightmost. No. Back to left.
This one.
This one, yeah.
There we go. Okay. All right. Sorry. All right.
And if you hit that limit, you need a new pop to generate new build space. But you can still build the green bordered buildings, which don't take up building spaces.
Okay. Tell you what. All right. So let's just take a look. So here's the Lesser Poland army. That is there. That's my vassals. So again, I don't have control. And the easiest way to know that is if you click on it, you don't see a green arrow, then you know it's not yours. And here you'll see that you do have the movement. No real reason to move it, but let's just take another look at it. Anything here? Stingy. Money. Ooh. So my phone's going off in the background. All right. All right. Just looking around.
There's an interesting comment regarding the province thingy. So if you have in a region hit the maximum amount of buildings, you are not allowed to open the building window, right? Where you select the type of buildings. But what you can do is in your province, on the right side, that's not on the production but on the building side, determine which type of buildings they should prioritize, right? And then the AI will try to select and build the green bordered buildings, which don't take up building spaces in that category.
That's controlled here.
Oh no, on the left. Sorry, here. On the right. Yeah, there. Yeah.
So right now it's set to off, and this is set to off. Let's say. Okay, okay, you learn something new every day.
Yeah, didn't know that as well, but yeah.
Okay, well that's cool. God, there's so much control. Now, no, it's good, but it's just like it's good and bad all at the same time, right?
Right,
You
right,
just
right.
gotta
Yeah.
you just gotta kind of wing it and fail miserably 10 times and just release my ammo. Let's see if there's any other clues here. Um, that's another reason right there. Once you've created a province, you might be able to raise special provincial units
Right.
with very specific traits.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
You can also recruit them via certain regional decisions,
Hmm.
but they are usually more. They only cost money then, but it's usually more expensive than recruiting them.
All right, so let's just. All right, so here's the kinks. I'm gonna mispronounce everything, so just apologies to the entire country of Poland, but not Tom. Um. All right, so Kieran's Krzyzewska, that one, Flock, Torin. All right, so just kind of get a better idea. Where are all those? That's the provincial. All right, let's take a look at any. You know what? I think there's an overlay that shows you. There's loyalty. Here's movement. There's one that shows you. Here's your domains. That's interesting. Trade good overlay. So that you might want to look at that one with what you were talking about before.
Mm-hmm.
You can see where all trade goods are produced and what regions are missing.
Mm-hmm.
So how's the missing? Is there a indicator of missing? I'm trying to see how that's really showing me missing. Oh, just the fact that it doesn't look there, of course. Just didn't know if there was like some sort of need indicator, like a strong need indicator.
Yeah, it's the color, I guess, right?
Okay.
So in red, regions with 3 or
Mm.
more missing goods. In orange, regions with 1 to 2 missing goods. In blue, regions with only bonus goods missing. In green, all other.
Okay. All right. I would just.
Then the
Yeah.
tooltip
All right.
even hints you to you might want to inspect the regions in red and perhaps orange and see if you can solve their trade issues.
Mm, that's gonna be helpful.
Yep.
All right. Very good. All right. So what I'm looking for is more hostility. Here's a Nash. These are. Yeah. I need to explore these more. Religions. So this is interesting. What is this? An Eastern Orthodox indication? What is that showing me? Okay. Claims, no claims yet. And claims are just kind of like they just start to automatically pop up, or as your regional governors start to gain authority, or.
I think they are loosely inspired by historical expanse and might come up randomly.
Oh, this is a good one too.
And you can
This is a
also,
good
by
one.
insulting other factions, there's a chance that you gain a claim in one of the regions.
This is a good one too. The free building indicators, the fourth one here. Loyalty, high revolt list, risk. Interesting. Regions are diplomatic status. There, this is what I wanted. Red denotes. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. Red denotes the nation you are at war with. Orange and neutral. So I don't have any. I'm not at war. So that's nice. Boy, they
That's
hate
a
me in
start.
Russia. Hey Tom, they hate me in Russia. Okay. All right. Sorry, they've been throwing missiles at each other lately. Indirectly. So, okay. So my hot zones are a little bit more in this regional area. Let's take a look at what I don't know. Might so this is so this is on its own. That's interesting in and of itself. Like how would I? Is there a way for me to like, for example, kind of just include? Maybe there's a limit. Actually, it looks like there is. I think up to 5, is it just up to 5 regions can be a province, I guess? Is it kind of like the natural limit?
I don't think so.
We can look that up.
Let's
But no,
see
my
here.
thing is just,
Franconia has 3, 5, 8. So that's historically determined, I guess.
so excuse if I'm horribly off base, but is this historically Prussia? I mean, am I
Well,
way
you would
off
probably
base
not
in my
call it
thoughts?
Prussia, but yeah,
Yeah, like
the Prussian tribes.
Prussian tribes. Okay, but is that? I mean, again, my history not perfect in this era. Do they form like Prussia later in the Germanic region, or what?
No, not really.
I don't think so. That's weird. I never heard of that. Huh? You learned something. All right.
Well, I guess it's a
Interesting.
necessary abstraction here.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Oh, there has to be some sort of connection there, right? There has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll look that up. We'll report on that later. All right. So again, we're not gonna get too deep in. Just kind of looking up. Yeah, something we didn't really go too much into is just what you're able to do with the armies, right? Obviously, you can move them, you can split them, merge them, set them to an assault. Let's see if this actually. I don't know what that'll do if you're just sitting in your own thing. Destination. This is really just telling you giving them a stance, if you will, before you move them. Pillage. Okay, retaliate. The commanding general will mount a retaliation expedition against a hostile region to neutralize an enemy army. Okay. You won't capture the first expedition. Enter. Okay. Interesting. So you're less effective because I'm assuming that means you're kind of like cat and mousing your way to them or something and back. It's kind of weird. I've not used this one to great effect. Disbanding, of course, makes obvious sense. You can get to all this extra information here. I do need to read back over this. Let's go look at trade again just real quick. I want to see if I can determine anything from that. So these guys need what? What are they yelling about over here?
My chat is gonna murder me now because I'm building buildings in 2 regions of my province, which you usually don't want to do because it's less efficient. But I think when you have the ability to shift population and come out at about the same amount of turns, then it's all right. Unless you, I mean, of course, in the long term it's less efficient, but if you're not under immediate pressure to produce anything specific, then it's all right.
So the only thing here. No. Okay, so this is telling me this is in dire need of 3 or more missing goods. And I'm assuming that these are the missing goods. Because then we need to find. So what is our stance with these guys? Enemy. Bastards. Alright, so.
I think those are all independent, so you have a great opportunity to expand northwards and eastwards.
Here and here.
Yep.
Slavic independence petty chieftain. It's like the. What are you? I'm a Slavic petty chieftain. Of course. All right. I think what might be good. I need to jump to a meeting at work, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we kind of take a break? I'll ping you when I'm done with my meeting, but I think we
Sure.
both need to. I think we both need to look closely as to what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll schedule a part 2 where we actually do our first turn fully. Does that
Yep.
sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. I think we've created more questions than we gave answers, but I hope everybody at least saw a good bit of what this game offers. I personally, it's one of my favorite games right now. I'll put it that, and I'm not really a strategic war game player. At least it's not my first go-to.
Mhm.
So for a strategic game to keep my attention, it keeps you wanting to learn more about it, which is probably one of the only games that's done that in a while for me. So
Yeah, that's good. That's great.
yeah, it's a good game. Let's stop for now, and we will schedule part 2 soon.
Yeah, well, let's do that. I'd probably keep my stream up for a little longer and
Yeah,
go through my trading and all that stuff.
yeah, sure, absolutely. So go for that, and we'll meet back up when we can here.
Yep.
All right, all right. Have a good one.
See you later. All right. Okay, I guess I can. Give me a second. Tap out of the StreamYard studio. Oopsie. And get back to building stuff. And remind me not to submit the turn when I'm done. So let's see. All those regions aren't part of a province, unfortunately. Which is a bit of an issue. So that they don't really have much food production is an issue. Yeah, just go with what's available. Manufactured, very good. Food, 12, three building spots. Money-wise, we are alright. Don't need to put much more focus into trading. Produces grain, can be imported from Würzburg, Baden, Prag, Goslar. Well, then we need one down here as well. So that's alright-ish, I guess, even though 7 turns is horribly long. Let's have a look here. They're producing parchment, right? And the winter. And there's a lot of stuff going on here. Why is everybody so horrible at food production? Oh god, the storage. 2 food. Wow. You always have to look at the other buildings though, especially stewardship. And sometimes also infrastructure, I think, because they can produce food too. As you can see here, the village green, 2 food, 2 money. Well, as a bonus, but you get it. So that takes equally long, also reduces infrastructure by 1, but gives me money. And this reduces the food consumed when creating a new population. So then I go with the village. And Vienna, what's going on in Vienna? Vienna needs cloth. Can't build it anyway. Growth on 10. Yeah, 12 even. Well, at least they have a keep and a garrison. And gallows. Feudal town level 2. Interesting. Should they need grain and fish for more bonus? Overcrowding and dark back alleys. Well. Growth in 17. Doesn't make sense to have anybody in infrastructure here. Well, again, some buildings could be destroyed, of course. Rob, is there a probability for that? For losing buildings due to a lack of infrastructure production? Yes, there is. Okay, so I'm probably alright if I lose 2 production points per turn. Upkeep is 11. Oh, okay, so it's I hit the negatives, and then there's a probability for those with the highest upkeep to get destroyed. Okay, so then probably not. The wisest decision not to produce any. Gotcha. What's going on in Nassau? They need horses and leather. Okay. Anybody got horses? Leather, unsure. That's far away. Can we do anything about it? Nope. Well, what if I take you guys? 7 turns, but then I run out of food. Still gonna run out of food. That works out. Okay. And the capital of the realm. Although historically, of course, I mean, the king and also the emperor would be traveling around all the time. Can't build anything here. And they also need leather. Okay, that's something we need to look into next. Once we get to that. Absorb vassal. Costs 2 authority. Can't do that with anybody because they hate me. Can issue diplomatic intrigue. Do I want to? So if I issue this on one of my vassals, it will automatically or randomly decrease, because they all of them hate me, I guess, decrease relationships with one of their neighbors. So that could also be another of my vassals, which I probably don't want. If both nations are your control, that's the case. You get a large relationship bonus with both nations for your peace brokering. Yeah, well, there's no war going on. So that's not the wisest thing to do. What I want to do though is increase the odds of getting absorb vassal, even though that's a long-term thingy. Mercenary companies, 200. High upkeep. Disbanding them might have some side effects. Well, who would have thought? Local units, well, if you want to recruit the provincial units but don't have the province or the equipment or whatever, you can spend the $100. With this button, the expert mode. Okay, I'm gonna take a look at that. Changing the odds of decisions not yet available. Well, that's an important thing. Costs money. Okay. Well, we have a look at that. And then recruit the non-standard armored spearmen, ribots, heavy crossbowmen, light crossbow archers. Oh, that also costs 20 manpower. Question would be if I want to quickly attack Saxony, which would lose me 30 authority, so that's a no-go. Oh, they are already part of the HRE, of course, that's why. But are they aren't vassals, are they? Part of the empire, but not a vassal. Well, that's... Is there an overview then? Religions? Political? No. Legacy? No. Claims? Oh, I don't have any claims. Is there an easier overview to see who is part of the HRE currently? Everybody in brown. Yeah, well. Might be nice to see that highlighted in some way. Well, I guess then no expansion into Saxony. Who would be most important to absorb first? Franconia, interesting, but not the most decisive thing. Swabia would be quite a deal, but I don't think that's gonna happen so easily. Bavaria. Yeah. So Venetia obviously is not part. Verona neither. Then maybe we have to expand into Italy a little bit more, although we are running into authority issues here, as Robin pointed out. Peter pointed out earlier. Or we have to turn on France. Oh, and we also want to make sure we have good relationships when the Kaiser, the Emperor, dies, right? So that they don't turn on us. So we might want to send some gifts here. Actually, fairly good -1 relation with Swabia. Not so much with Bavaria. Saxony is neutral. I kind of want Carinthia to turn on me so that I can welcome them under my direct control. But then I want to have good relations with Bavaria for now. And this this button which allowed you to set at which relationship level you want to support other factions you are cooperating with is also available for your vassals, but rather when they show support you. So I could set this to call them in always. His army will be under your direct control. Wow, that's powerful then. Or never. Okay, I need to look up how this potentially influences relationships or something. Let's have a look at the manual. If it decides to load. Come on, Steam, you may just want to load this thing. Should probably rather access that via the host client, which is not open. Okay. Manuals, ebook. Here we go. Okay, what's the what's the search term for that? Look at vassals, maybe. Each vassal remains a separate faction, provides 25% of their monetary income. Nice. A loyal vassal can place some or all of his army fully under the control in case of war if you request this, which is determined by this button. In this case, you need to pay for the units. But you can just ask them to help in war and not take direct control. In addition, each vassal gives +5 demaison size. Blah blah blah. Vassals are not always a benefit, they can revolt. And may fight against each other. Which then would be a good opportunity to issue the regional decision to broker peace. Alright, but I need to look at rule 12.3.4. Vassals. Oh, and there also is the allies and corporations. Yes. Okay. So let's look into that. Corporations. Can I fight wars on behalf of my vassals? Breaking a vassalage will remove 15 from the current relations. If these were already negative, then there is a chance the vassal will declare war on their previous liege. 1% chance for each negative diplomacy point. Okay, so that's interesting. Then I need to insult Carinthia a little bit more and pamper the others. But what about the impact of these settings? The liege calls a vassal into war. They do not pay any authority cost. You can set the circumstances under which you will call them into war, and this choice can be varied each turn. Yeah, via this button. At times, vassals may ask for your help. The more vassals you have, more often you will receive requests. Vassals can have disputes with other vassals. A nation cannot accept a vassal request in the first 5 turns of a war. You cannot declare war on any of your own vassals. You must break the vassal agreement first. Absorbing. You can only absorb a vassal if the relationships are amiable, so 50 or better. If a vassal is absorbed, their provinces become part of your personal domains. Yeah. Levying the vassal's army. Vassal armies can be gifted to his liege under certain conditions. The first one being at war with another nation. If the first call fails, it will be repeated unless the polity is set to never. On the diplomacy panel for each vassal there is an army levy policy. Yes. The success chance depends on liege relationship. Without any special modifier, the chance is relative to the relationship score, except if relationship is 75 or higher, in which case there's a 100% chance. If the roll fails by more than 50%, then in this case, if the vassal had 10 or more units to give, a relationship penalty of 10 is applied. And the vassal rolls immediately for cessation of relationship, if relationship is 50 or less. Oh, okay. If the vassal has 10 units or less, it's likely all will be provided, otherwise they will remain some under their own control. Retain, not remain. The troops are under Liege's full control until there is peace. In this case, they return to their original owner. Would be interesting to see if you can also switch the generals then, or if they just come with like a stack of mercenaries. Okay. So if we go to war, we want to carefully look into relationships and whom we try to call in into the war. Otherwise, relationships will decrease even further. And they might declare war on us, so... I mean... yeah. That's somewhat what we want, don't we? If the roll fades by more than 50%, a relationship penalty of 10 is applied. If the vessel had 10 or more units to give, which they probably currently don't, but they might recruit large armies, of course. Well, starting with rather small armies. Okay, so let's have a look again. Vassals. Do I need the Thuringian army? Relationship of -30. So on the, wait a second, the success chance depends on Liege relationship. The chance is relative to the relationship score. What does that even mean? So they don't tell me the how exactly the relationship value relates to the chances of success. Is it an automatic failure if it's negative? Yeah, right. That's the only. So if you have a relation of 75 or more, it's always 100%. But that's the only, the only concrete info they give you. Otherwise, they say, well, it's relative to your relationship, whatever that means. I mean, if a negative relationship automatically means failure, then you probably don't want to call in any of them. Only those you want to break away and declare war on you. Frittlingen. So what we're gonna do is, even though we have fairly alright relationships, we send a gift to Swabia, maybe even offer marriage. Not very high chances. We do have the money currently, so we offer a gift to Swabia and to Bavaria. And well, Aquileia is a small one. Don't need to bother too much with those guys unless we need support down here. At 50 relationship, it's 50%. Okay, so negative is potentially auto-fail. So that's an auto-fail with all of them then. Well, then we need to have some, make some modifications. Well, I guess this setting, the custom setting is alright, because they are only called in if we have 50 or more relationship. So what I want to do is... yeah, I don't want to call them in. The only one I want to call in is Carinthia to provoke them to declare war. So we do a full call always. Let's see what Miroslav thinks about that. And is there an is there an easy way to... is there a ledger overview maybe? To see the setting with all of them? No. So I always have to go through all of my vassals and check the settings, right? Or just don't play around with it other than with those I certainly want to risk breaking away. So that's all 50, save, yeah. Okay, so that's all good. Did I change that with those guys? No. Okay, so that should be alright. Yeah, they are all at 50. Alright, I see. Who else do I want to send some bucks? As long as I have them to spend them. Still out, it's part of the empire, by the way. Not that it would gain us much, right? What is the maximum mass size? 20. So I could only really conquer 3 more before we need to increase the government. It doesn't even provide a larger dimension, doesn't it? Character force pull bonus, that's not what I need. I need more. More control. I guess then the only way to generate that is to have more vassals, because they increase that, don't they? No, this doesn't help me anyways. Back to the manual. Back to the manual. Where is the message size? Oh, maybe we want to look at faction-specific rules for the Holy Roman Empire. If any members have more authority than the current emperor, this will see a substantial loss in relationships, broken treaties, and perhaps a rebellion. To help with this, there's a +10 authority bonus when elected. Yeah, well, it buys you some time, I guess. Vassals reduce what you need to increase the dimension size. They don't increase the size, okay. Ah, admins in provinces increase that, okay. That's the only way. If the Holy Roman Empire gains a claim on an Italian region, this will generate a bonus of +4 authority. Relationships with the Pope may be difficult. If the Holy Roman Empire faction has 25 authority points more than the Pope, then it will gain the anti-Pope modifier. Oh, yeah. Okay. Up to the double of the base value of the current standards. Okay, yeah, rank up then. Okay. Well, then it's all about gathering authority points now. Accumulating more authority over the realm. Oh, and I didn't even take a look at these yet. So let's get down here. Yeah, because they are far away from Goslar, there are some issues. What we want to do is produce more stewardship. They are part of what Lombardy? What's 3 and 3. So if Swabia could give me Sondria, that would be a province. Having a province down here would be super important, so that I can put a governor with high administration and stewardship in there. 25 rounds. Ah, you kidding me? Can we produce flags somewhere here? I don't think so. Not at the moment. This is part of Liguria. This is part of Verona. It's, I mean, that's so horrible. That's the issue you struggle with in the beginning. Okay, Peter is sending me a schedule for tomorrow evening. Let me think. What's that? A rat infestation? Alright. So these are all independent regions. There is no province down here, which is a big problem. I don't have more nobles to produce more stewardship. And there are almost no production buildings here anyways. Oof. That's a big oof. Food storage, come on. Bakery needs grain, of course it does. Do we have the opportunity to build a building that produces grain somewhere here? Produces food. I mean greens, that's important thing. Communal larder. Not really. So that's all quite horrible. Food production here is the worst. Oh me, oh my. Well, I guess build something over the next 1,000 years. Gonna go with this one. Might wanna increase. Oh no, that's not what I want. Let's go this route. The red catcher is here. Hello, red catcher. -12. Okay. No, the bakery. I think the bakery would be a good starting point, although we need more infrastructure really. And of course, stewardship, which the storyteller doesn't provide. Let's go food, food. And storage or village. I guess village is the way to go, because it also provides a loyalty bonus. And still food is a huge issue here, but we can, well, 3 turns, still gonna run out of food. No matter which way I do it. Okay. Turns. Dear oh dear, need preserved foods. That also, all those stuff creates more expenditures. Trade bonus is nice, but doesn't help. -8. Loyalty penalty, I don't want to do that. Do I want to spend authority to build something specific? No, because I don't have it. So start building this. Let's see how that goes. I think that's all regions set up for something. 2 building in here. This one is building. This one can't. So that's building done. We spent a few $100 on relationships, and we'll see how that goes. Oh, I wanted to look into the expert mode here. And oh, sneak attack is a sneaky one. I think I also want more diplomatic intrigue. Oh, and I could actually buy them even, right? But that those costs are increased. Is that the way it works? Guess I want spy on nobility at high odds. Very high odds. What else do we have? Show of authority. Yes, very high odds, please. Sneak attack, I don't know. There are so many vassals around me that I'm not quite sure whom to attack. Send crusaders. 1 to 3 units to the crusade. If there is one. You send one of your advisors, or is he a spy? To assist the peer of the realm in charge of one of your domains. Oh, okay. Will boost the loyalty of governors. Well, that's a nice one. I'll take that if I can. Accept the authority of a target nation. Yeah, might be nice. Troubles are boiling. Yeah, restore order. That might be something I need in Italy. Changing this even costs money. Apply a monetary cost. Yeah, the tooltip even says so. Okay, so then let's put this back on. Normal odds. Okay. Well, that's a fair point. I have some money though, so it would be nice to know how much that costs. But yeah, let's just focus on the most important things then. So absorb a miner, don't need that. Out of siege, not that important. Assassinate a peer. No. Assassinate a ruler, that's... Huh. Does that help me regarding my vassals? I don't think so. Attract migrants is a nice one. Build a harbor, not needed. Call for a crusade. If we want to have the Pope do some stuff. Call to arms. Convert to the faith. What? There are pagans in Goslar? What's this? Declare the jihad. Deploy spies. Develop a region. That's a nice one. So I spent some money on that. Draft levies. Costs 40 manpower. No, thank you. Peer of the Ram is governor of one of the domains. Will be prosecuted for embezzlement. It might just be a convenient way to get rid of dangerous individuals. Yeah, no. Not that important. Ennoble a petty landowner. High odds, please. Fight the plague. Hopefully it takes some time for the plague to arrive, so let's not bother with that. Forge the land, forced march, forfeit claim. Forge a claim. That might be something to consider. Form a vassal. Okay, so we could probably, yeah, we could give a province to a governor, right? Yeah. Nope, not yet. Although that's probably something we need to consider at some point. Peasants to free men. That's an important one. Although not at the very beginning, but you know. Fund a holy order for 100. Gain character, no. Gift appear, no. Grant land. Baronian vassal. I think we have that in Leipzig, right? All possessions, heresy, instill revolt, liberate. No, no, no. Move the capital. We could shift the capital to Leipzig. Not gonna happen. Ordinate priests, also fairly important. But Freeman population is the basis for that, of course. Processions, reinforce, remove server. No, remove hostiles, request excommunication, no. So show of authority, I still want to spend the money on that. Okay, absorb then is not that important as of now. Same for intrigue, because I have that available twice already. Spy is still a good thing. 3. So I did 6 modifications on probabilities for these decisions. So let's see how much money that costs. Well, other than that, that's basically everything I can do, I guess, at the very moment. One last check on relationships. So Tuscany doesn't really like me. But these guys do. Spoleto. Do we have some sort of... Do I know you? Duke Francesco. $51% for a royal marriage. Huh, wait a second. What about cooperation? 14%. I mean, that might be important if we want to expand long term into Italy. Can I offer you something to increase the chances? Money. What about some bucks? Of course, that's all I have. Although let's take into account that I've modified the probabilities for the regional decisions, and I also sent out several gifts which are not yet taken into account, right? So maybe not. Maybe just try 14%. Maybe they want to become buddies. Anybody else who likes me? Oh, really? 000. Well, I guess I can issue a cooperation to Poland. They're Catholic as well. We don't really have interfering spheres of interest at the moment. So, cooperation it is. Alright, and then I did not want to send the turn. I wanted to save the turn to the server so that we can continue when we pick up again with Peter, probably tomorrow evening at around 10 p.m. Central European time. And well, gonna see you then. Take care, bye-bye.